NFR Extra follows all your favorite cowboys, interviews legends of rodeo, and talks to the best of country music. Follow Nevada Caldwell, Ryland Bentley, and Steve Godert every week as they delve deep into the stories behind the road to gold in Vegas at the National Finals Rodeo. It's revealing, comedic, and sometimes emotional. Find it on Spotify or anywhere you listen to podcasts. NFR Extra. All dirt, all rodeo, all year.
I know. We were laughing. It was like you hate to laugh about it, but I was like, I think 2021 is looking at 2020, saying, "Hold my beer, off we go."
Yeah, and so many, but it takes a shot of tequila at the same time.
Yeah. It's not the good tequila.
NFR Extra, episode 84. NFR contestant Emily Miller-Beisel had a bizarro 2020 like everyone else, except hers came with a diamond ring and winning a few rounds at the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo in Texas. Emily shares her horse Chango's NFR Texas experience and of course her own, plus fitting in a relationship into ranching, racing, and dental hygiene.
It's a different kind of woman that's in the ranching Western lifestyle that you meet out on the streets and the cities. I mean, it's pretty about as real as a woman you're going to get in life. Personal.
Well, that's the hardworking and determination aspect of that too, which that goes back to kind of the basis of what the ranching mentality is all about. You know, we get a horrible amount of criticism from people outside of this industry, thinking that, you know, the neglect or abuse of the land or of the animals falls upon the people that utilize it the most. It's like, that's the absolute opposite of what the true case is. We depend on these animals for making our living. We depend on this land to be here next year when we come back.
Well, and I think that goes into the Western industry. We've talked about it a lot, but in this industry, like, a woman is expected to do everything a man does and then go home and put things together as well. Like, when I go to the ranch, it's still very, very old-fashioned. And Mama Rose, we call her, she gets up, she feeds all the livestock and moves the stuff around while Dad will go to the range and make sure all the water troughs are good. And, you know, we all just do your part, and it's just expected. That is a normal day, and then we'll go, you know, gather whatever it may be, but she's the person that packs the ice chest. She makes sure everyone has food, and as soon as we get home, when everyone wants to go grab a cold beer, guess what? Mama Rose is still in the kitchen cooking dinner, making sure everyone that is taken care of. Like, that's a very common thing in the Western industry.
That's a different world when it comes to a cowgirl or someone that's around the horse world. Like, you got to find that right fit. You can't just meet a dude out in the universe and be like, hey man, come into this universe. And by the way, I wake up at 5 in the morning, I do this, I take care of these things. That's
the epitome of the Western lifestyle, is taking care of your livestock, taking care of the land, and helping people that need help.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's no doubt. Like I said, I think the woman side that I've learned is very powerful in this business. So
enjoy our conversation with two-time NFR qualifier Emily Miller-Beisel. Hang out until the end for Last Call with Steve and his good friend, NFR announcer Andy Seiler. And up next, Bryland's Bull.
This is Bryland's Bull, the rodeo news of the week.
On the road to NFR, here are the current PRCA world standings. Bareback riding, Taylor Broussard. Steer wrestling is world champion Jacob Elder. Saddle bronc, Cody DeMoss. Team roping, header, Marcus Theriot. Team roping, heeler, Joseph Harrison. Tie-down roping, Caleb Schmidt, followed by world champion Shad Money Mayfield. Barrel racing, Stephanie Fryer. Bull riding, Josh Frost. All-around leader, Marcus Theriot, followed by all-around champion Stetson Wright. Pro Rodeo Tour finale heads to Salinas on season's finale weekend. Talk about an unexpected pairing. Arguably the biggest independent artist to come out of Texas since Aaron Watson. One Beer hitmaker Hardy is joining forces with Co Wetzel for a 5-day run of acoustic shows in Texas, March 2021. Las Vegas Motor Speedway to have fans in the stands during NASCAR weekend, March 5th through the 7th. Tickets are on sale now. Check it out.
NFR Extra follows cowboys, talks to legends and country stars, and finds the stories that make up the season that leads to the annual showdown in December. Follow me, Nevada Caldwell, Brylan Bentley, and Steve Goddard as we delve deep into the stories in and behind the road to gold. Listen to NFR Extra on Rural Radio, channel 147 on Sirius XM, every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, with a re-air Tuesday in the same time slot. NFR Extra, all dirt, all rodeo, all year.
Kobe Lovell, world champion team roper, joining y'all on NFR Extra.
Emily Miller-Beisel can thank her babysitter for watching her while growing up in Kansas and introducing her to barrel racing. It started as a hobby as she focused on her first love of life, taking care of teeth as a registered dental hygienist. Her hobby happened to qualify her for her first NFR in 2019, and she took Las Vegas by storm, winning 2 rounds and ultimately finishing 3rd in the WPRA World Standings. Emily Miller-Beisel, welcome back to NFR Extra. Of course, it was Emily Miller last time you were on. Quick congratulations to getting married in 2020 on top of all the other crazy stuff that went down.
Thank you. I know, a 2020 bride. We survived. That was probably not quite what I had in mind, but I was like, we're going to have this long, stress-free engagement and plan a wedding at the end of 2020. No big deal. Yeah, that was quite a trip.
God forbid everything gets better and we just get in a great spot with society and everything else. You're always going to look back at this kind of weird time of like a historic moment that just has created so many memories. And obviously you got married in the middle of it. So as much as you want, like, right, just the perfect wedding or the perfect rodeo or the perfect whatever in 2020, hence not even 2021, who knows what's going down, but
right.
You'll always remember it. I mean,
absolutely. And what I think is funny is people, whenever we were trying to plan the wedding, like our wedding planner was like, what do you have visioned here? Like, what's your, every little girl dreams of this or what song or this or that. And I was like, y'all, I said, I dreamed of running down the alleyway into a little yellow arena. I did not dream of wearing a white dress. And fortunately I met an amazing man that changed all that for me. But I was like, you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. We're just going to wing it. And I got so lucky. Our wedding coordinator and the, venue that we had it at, they were awesome. And I basically just gave them the color palette I liked and said, you guys run with it. Have fun. Whatever you think's going to look good. Let's do it. And we rocked on. And it was amazing. It was hands down the best night of my life. I mean, truly, we had the best day with surrounded with lots of family and friends. So it was worth it. But it was, you just never knew if you were going to be able to have it or not have it, or if you should invite people or not invite, it was so, it was touch and go for quite a while, but, we were very fortunate. We were able to see it through, and it was incredible.
I'm going to backtrack. You said you were a little girl of dreaming of running down that little yellow alleyway. And then there's a guy that came into your life. How'd you meet this guy that turned your head? Man,
it's 5:00 in the morning at the gym. I was studying for dental hygiene school, and I know I'm that weirdo that I went to the gym. Yeah, I guess I'm pretty busy minded. I'm always like, if I'm sitting here saying something, I'm thinking about something else. And I was having a hard time really focusing on school that last semester. I was burnt out. I was tired of studying for board. It was just, I was struggling. And so a new gym was in town. It was a really, really nice gym. And so I went ahead and enrolled, got my membership and everything. And what I would do is I would take like my textbook, iPad, whatever, and I would set it on the treadmill and I would run. And I would go through if it was an app or a PowerPoint or whatever I needed to study that morning. That's what I would do before I went to class. And anyway, and he was teaching classes there in the morning and opened the gym. And so we actually got to be really great friends for a long time. Once I graduated dental hygiene school and I rodeoed for the summer and stuff, I came back home, and that's when we started dating. And that was like 4.5 years ago. So
nice. Does he get to go on the road with you quite a bit or at all? Or is
he works in the oil field. And he has a little boy that just turned 6. And so he's home quite a bit, to be totally honest. But like this week, I mean, it's, 5 degrees at home, and He's taking care of the rest of the horses that I have there. And so that's, I mean, he usually gets to go to most of the major events, but not all of them. Like the finals, I think he was there like 5 or 6 rounds. He was not there when I won round 6, but he was there when I won round 7. And we had a, big party for him. After, I think wasn't round 8 his birthday, Mom? Yeah, I think, because it was December 10th is his birthday, but I think it was round 8. So we had a pretty big gathering and party for him that night. So, one good thing about barrel racing and oil field is you've got to be pretty flexible and adaptable. So that's something we've really had to apply to our marriage and stuff. And it's been great. I mean, I wish he could go with me all the time, but it's also nice to have somebody that can take care of my critters at home as well.
Very nice.
That's awesome. Well, besides that love of your life, there's also another love you have, and it has nothing to do with rodeo. It has to do with teeth. What's up with your love for teeth, and when did that love affair start to begin?
Man, I was little bitty. I mean, of course, every kid loves a tooth fairy. And, I think part of it started when my cousin said she'd give me $5 if I let her pull one of my front teeth. I did, but my tooth was not ready to be pulled. So I didn't have a front tooth for like 2 years. So that was kind of bad. But I had a lot of crowding and I was a tongue thruster. So I actually was in the dental office a lot as a child. And I had an amazing dentist. Dr. Larkin was my childhood dentist. And he was just so good with kids, and it made it a really happy place for me. I loved to go see the hygienist and everything. Then I went through braces for 4 years. So I was at the orthodontist office, pretty regularly. And really, I don't know. I just got to the point, like, I enjoyed that part of my life. I looked forward to those days that I got to go see those people. They made it a great experience. And then, when it was all said and done, like the first person that looked at me and said, "Man, Emily, you've got a great smile." It made me feel really good about myself. And I thought, I want to do that for other people. I want to help make their day better and stuff. And that's the thing too, about working as a hygienist is it's not necessarily all just about cleaning teeth. I mean, what I love too is I got called Weatherford royalty the other day by one of my patients. I just had to laugh. I was like, that might be a little far-fetched, but anyway, it's really cool. I mean, because they're watching me rodeo too, so they're cheering me on and, always calling and asking. I got some fan mail the other day sent to the dentist office I work for. So I mean, we're all here cheering each other on and stuff. And so it's fun to develop those relationships with people that aren't necessarily involved in rodeo and learn about their personal lives.
But not to go to this gross level that like some people look at it, but how'd you get into I'm cool with going in people's mouth? Like, cause you got to know you're going into people's mouths and you're digging and there's a lot of that part of that job that
grosses
okay with.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I have never had an issue with it. Honestly, I think, something that is, very similar between like barrel racing and being a hygienist is, like we are going to sit there and until the very last detail of everything is sorted out, see it through. And so, as far as like cleaning teeth, I mean, man, if you like miss one little piece of plaque or tartar, like, you can't have that. That's not acceptable. And so like, I don't know. I just think it's, in some aspects, it's kind of a similar mentality, in that sense. And so I don't know. I mean, you got to remember, this morning before I got on here with you guys, I was in the barn cleaning stalls for 20 minutes, shoveling horse crap. So there's a lot of things I do on a daily basis that gross a lot of people out, but cleaning teeth is not a real big deal to me.
Working on both ends one way or another.
Right? Exactly.
You're listening to NFR Extra with our guest, Emily Miller-Beisel. We will return after the break.
Every December, the eyes of the rodeo world are on the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, the world's richest and most prestigious rodeo. And now you can follow the NFR all year long at NFRexperience.com. You'll find information on Cowboy Christmas and the Junior World Finals, unique blogs and content, access to NFR Extra, and much more. With the Stay in the Loop Club, you'll also have a chance to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas 2021 for the world's greatest rodeo. Don't get left in the dust. Stay in the loop, stay in the know, and win at NFRexperience.com.
Hi, I'm Nellie Miller, World Champion Barrel Racer, and this is NFR Extra.
Two-time NFR qualifier Emily Miller-Beisel is here on NFR Extra.
Like you're saying, the attention to detail and the commitment that you have to not missing one little piece of plaque or one little piece of poop or whatever it is. But to be on the level of a barrel racer that you're at, and you considered that a hobby while you're still maintaining the dental hygienist side of things, is that still a level playing field that you're a hobbyist barrel racer, or is that a little bit more serious over the last couple of years?
Yeah, it kind of has flip-flopped. I graduated dental hygiene school in 2016, and I started working full-time later that summer, early fall. And I worked full-time, for a solid year. And then, and I don't want to say like I accidentally almost made the NFR, but truly like I accidentally almost made the NFR in 2017. I wasn't planning on going to the finals. I had no intentions of trying to rodeo like that. And I had won the RNCFR, and it was like the first or second weekend of April down in Kissimmee, Florida. And that got me on to Calgary, where I won my pool at Calgary and walked out of there with like 26,000 or something by the end of the deal. And we left Calgary and I was sitting 7th in the world standings. And we were like, what do we do? I got to go back home and go to work. And so luckily my boss is really great because the good thing about dental hygiene is it's a very flexible career, whether you want to work 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 1 day a week, or just be a fill-in hygienist. Like there is a place for everybody. And I had a great fill-in hygienist that was willing to cover me while I was on the road and stuff. So I actually was able to stay out, but my horse ended up getting hurt. And so at that point we were scrambling, and I ended up, the top 15 go to the finals, and I ended up 17. So I wasn't able to hold on to that position, through the end of the season, but I learned a lot. And so I went back, and then I backed off one day. I was working Monday through Wednesday at that point. And I decided, I was like, I'm going to reevaluate this rodeo thing. And obviously I'm going to have more than one horse because, I was in such a good spot, and to have it just slip between my fingers was really unfortunate. But anyway, kind of rebuilt the team, and I was still working, and and it was expensive to be out on the road and not winning. Like once I got done with Calgary, I traveled a lot and didn't win very much. And so having that steady paycheck back at home whenever I did go home to work was great, because that's something that a lot of people don't realize. Rodeo athletes are not guaranteed a dime. We're guaranteed a lot of expense, with fuel, entry fees, vet bills, horse feed, trucks and trailers, all the things. That's all expensive, but that steady paycheck is really appealing. It always has been to me. And so anyway, I've maintained that career just to kind of balance out and make sure I never put myself in a bad situation. But come summer of 2019, I think after I made the finals at Calgary on Chongo, I knew I was probably going to make my first NFR. At that point, I was, I think maybe $70,000-$80,000 in earnings, and that had made the finals every year prior. And so I was in a pretty comfortable spot. And so we kind of sat down and reevaluated things. And I'm more on a fill-in basis, but basically I just kind of tell the front desk lady whenever I'm going to be home, these are the weeks I'll be there, or I, tell the other girls in the office what weeks work best for me to try to fill in for them. And so that's literally like one of the hygienists is going on spring break with her kids. And she said, what week can we do this? So that way you can be here to fill in. And so it's kind of crazy, but to me, it's such a team effort, and it's nice to still have that, but it is definitely not the forefront of my income anymore. It's rodeoing now. So that's kind of really, since making the finals in 19 and stuff is kind of done a 180, and, I'm grateful for that, because truly, I feel like my greatest passion is running barrels, but, you're never guaranteed a fast horse. And so while I've got him, I want to see it through.
It sounds like this hobby became, oh my goodness, I'm pretty good at this and I got good horses and I'm going to keep at it. I came across this: to finish first, you must finish.
Yes.
How does that apply to your performance and your success at this point in your life?
So that is a quote. I know my dad tweaked that quote a little bit. And I can't remember what the original quote is, but it's real similar to that. But Dad changed a few words around because I have a real bad habit. I guess growing up as a kid, if I was having trouble with the first barrel and I finally got the first barrel turned right, I would just in my head, I was like, yeah, I did it. And then I'd totally forget that there's still 2 more turns to make and would mess up the second or the third barrel. And, and that's what my dad was always really adamant, that I had to completely finish my run before celebrating anything. And so if I wanted to be successful, you have to see it all the way through, not just, the things that are concerning you or anything. Like every step of the way, every inch counts. And so, he was very adamant that I stay focused, until the end.
I mean, I would imagine that's something that I think as you get on, right, like you can apply that to just one run, to an entire rodeo, to an entire season, right? Like once you start to master that.
Yeah,
man,
exactly.
Your hobby has really turned out to be pretty cool there, Emily.
Thanks. It's been a lot of fun. I never anticipated this, but I'm not going to complain.
I want to backpedal a little bit. You mentioned seeing through the fast horse while you have it. Talk about where Chongo is at in his peak of age, how he's competing right now.
So we're actually, while we're sitting here in San Antonio, all of us just wondering what is 2021 going to bring? What's the season like? I made the comment last night. I said, I think it would have changed my whole career had I had the 4 horses that I have right now in 2017. In 2017, we had thousands of rodeos to choose from throughout the year, all year long. And it was just incredible, the surplus and options that we had. Now I've got these 4 horses, and my youngest one being Bo, he's 8 years old. And then Foxy, is my mare, and she's 9. And then I have Piper and Chongo, who are 11, and they're literally all 4 of them in the prime years of their lives. I had 2 rodeos to go to this month, and one of them I didn't get to go to because of the ice, and the other one I'm sitting here waiting it out, hoping we get to go, and so there has been a definite change for us as contestants as far as, how do we make this work anymore, because we're traveling further, we're going to rodeos with less added money, and we're competing against more people because it's all so concentrated. I know I've got the horsepower right now, which is amazing. I just, I am a little worried about whether or not I've got enough places to go to really enjoy having that much horsepower. And Chongo is great. I mean, he is right in his prime. I think that he's, really matured too in the last couple of years, and he's always been a really mature horse. Don't get me wrong, but I've been able to throw him into any situation, whether it's, the Thomas and Mack in Las Vegas in a 13-second pattern, or Arlington, on a baseball field. He has proven he can win on the small patterns and the big patterns, the deep ground, the firm ground. And that's so cool to have a horse that is that universal and can win first. And so I hope that for his sake that I'm able to take him to all the cool places that, just because I do feel like I'm probably riding, my once in a lifetime horse right now. And I hope I get to showcase him a little bit more than I have the last year or so, but we'll see. I mean, there's no telling what 2021 will bring, but we can be hopeful.
This is NFR Extra, and our guest today, 2-time NFR qualifier, Emily Miller-Beisel. We'll hit the pause button for a quick break.
Howdy, rodeo fans. I'm the former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman. It's been an interesting year for all of us, and we're hoping that 2021 will bring us all closer together to celebrate all the things we hold dear to us. The Wrangler National Finals Rodeo will return to Las Vegas in December of 2021. Las Vegas transforms into the greatest Western party in the world. There's nothing like it and nothing like you, the rodeo fan, and we get to share that time with you. It's not something that we'll ever take for granted. We look forward to seeing you soon and performing for you right here in Las Vegas. Can't wait to see you. And remember, there's only one NFR and there's only one Vegas.
Hi, I'm 8-time world champion bull rider Donnie Gay, and you're listening to NFR Extra.
NFR Extra with guest Emily Miller-Beisel.
What goes into keeping that once in a lifetime horse in shape, in their prime during that time? You talked about he runs on any ground. So what does his conditioning look like?
I think I'm very blessed in the sense that I do have 4. And so actually he's not with me this week. I'm in San Antonio, which is our literally the only big winter rodeo we're getting to compete at this year. And I decided not to bring him because of the travel conditions. I watched that pile up at Fort Worth last week. I knew that we were going to be dealing with a lot of snow and ice. I just decided it flat wasn't worth it to put him on the trailer even if he just slipped on, a sheet of ice in the parking lot, walking up to the arena and pulled a muscle, like I can't risk that with him, and every horse, every person, we've all got our time. But if I can be smart and try to make sure I take care of him, I know he will take care of me. Even if that means, not being in the top 10 in the world standings, come June 1st or whatever, and having to rally a little bit at the end of the season. Like, I'm really confident in that horse. And so I think a good situation will arise to where I can let him go in and do his thing, because that's the thing about Chongo is, as long as I keep him happy and healthy, he takes care of the rest. And so I just have to make sure I make good decisions by him, so he can go do his job. But I mean, if he's hurt or sidelined, that's not an option. And so even though this is a really, really great rodeo, it's awesome to do well here. I'm fortunate to have a good backup horse. I brought Foxy with me, and I think she'll handle it really well. And she's really level-headed. Not a lot, really stirs her up. And so the fact that we've been stuck here for as long as we have, and, they're in a stall and there's not a lot of places to get them out, and, it's all on asphalt and there's no really warm up arena inside. It's all outdoors, and she will handle that with ease. And that's why I chose her. And so I think it's just kind of knowing your team members and making sure you put them in situations that they can handle so they can go be successful.
Okay. So you won 2 NFRs. You've had nice success. You've won 2 rounds in each year. Was that all those 4 wins on Chongo?
Yes, all 4 wins were on Chongo. I ran Foxy in Las Vegas in 2019 in the 7th round, and then I ran Bo at Arlington in the 3rd and 4th rounds. But all my NFR earnings came from Chongo. Because
I remember some noise in the background about how the difference for Chongo was at Thomas Maxon and Arlington. What was the difference in Chongo's performance basically there?
Yeah, it was. So to be totally honest, I had zero confidence when I showed up at Vegas. I was like, this little arena is going to eat my lunch. So he surprised me there. He really did like the Thomas and Mac. I loved the ground. That's always a big thing in the barrel racing. If your horse likes the ground, handles it really well, that was good for us. The other thing that was really, that worked well for Chongo and I there is that tunnel in the back where we sit and wait outside of the wagon coming by with the horses and stuff. Prior to the barrel racing, it's pretty quiet back there. And Chongo's one of those horses that he does a lot better if he can stay focused and settled. At Arlington, we all were in the arena the whole time. So, where they had it set up in there, and then the warm up was in there, and the alleyway was in there, and there was no escaping the lights and the noise. It absolutely terrified him. He literally got stage fright those first 2 nights. And so the first night, we kind of survived. And the second night I thought, okay, I'm going to change my game plan. I'm going to get him in there earlier, let him really see everything, so he can adapt. And it was worse. He got really scared that night just because he was in there. And, a baseball stadium it's intense. Like, you walk in and you look up and there's all those bright lights. And, of course, the barrel racing is a really crowd active event. And so, I was towards the bottom. And so, he would hear the crowd cheering everybody in front of us. And it really it was a lot for him to take in. And what's every horse, like I said, is so different versus Bo, and he's younger, has way less experience. When I took Bo in there, he just looked up and he was like, that's really cool, guys. Like, let's rodeo, they all have such unique personalities, and that's what you really got to know your horse. And so for us, I had to make a lot of adjustments at Arlington to try to keep him focused and happy so he could go out there and perform.
Talking about adjustments, that's where the Beisel bands took over Facebook. Can you touch a little bit on what happened here?
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. I went to practice the next morning, and, of course, like during the finals, I learned last year, it's best just to kind of like shut my phone down and, not have any notifications popping up or anything. I still would see that, but like I wasn't looking at it. And so we went to practice, and, I'd only got a couple hours of sleep, and I get back to the hotel to try to catch a nap. And I look at my phone, I had 200 text messages and over 400 Facebook notifications. I was like, what in the world? This is crazy. And then one of my friends, it was Ivy Savins, she Snapchat me and she's like, did you seriously rubber band your elbows in? I'm like, guys, I have been doing this since I was a child. That's what blew my mind about it is when I was running poles as a little girl, and pole bending is a different event. It's kind of like slalom ski racing for those that haven't ever seen it. There's 6 poles and you have to weave between them on your horse. And they stop that event at high school rodeo typically. There's not a lot of places to compete after that. So I haven't done it since high school, but I would hit the poles with my elbows as I was going through. I'd kind of get, chicken wings going out there, and I would hit the poles with my elbows. And so my dad, I don't know if it was dad or mom, but anyway, we discussed it and we were like, we need to, we as barrel racers, we all rubber band our feet in so we don't risk losing a stirrup. And yes, they're little rubber bands, they're breakable, not a big deal. But dad was like, why don't we try this on your elbows and see if we can keep them in so you don't hit your poles, while you're going through. And it worked great. And anyway, as I've gotten older, you all saw the difference in my horse, from rounds 1 and 2 to round 5, where, he technically ran the first 16 of the finals. I just tipped a barrel, but he was a completely different horse. And all that, a lot of it was mentally, I kept him a lot quieter. I kept him out in the tunnel to where he couldn't really hear the crowd as much and stuff, and warmed him up away from the arena and I did a lot of other adjustments, but I could tell the way I was riding into the arena, I was kind of opening a door with my elbow, which was causing him to get a little bit stiff in his rib cage. And so when I asked him to turn, at that point, he just wasn't in a good position. And since there was no fence to help aid us in turning, he kind of took advantage of that situation and just locked me out. And so I was like, I got to try to do something different here. So I keep myself centered and give him the opportunity to come around. And so anyway, I use the rubber bands on my elbows again, as I have at the Calgary. I used them at the American last year. I've used them literally for 20 years, but for some reason, NFR round 6, people noticed and freaked out. So it was cheap entertainment for me. I can tell you that. I got quite a kick out of it.
It was good entertainment for everyone. We all, just even on NFR Experience social media, we were like, what is going on with this?
Oh, I know. I have got called so many names and been told, you are a professional. There is no reason you should be using an aid or anything like that. And I'm just like, y'all, like that money still spends the same. And I'm like, what is the difference between rubber banding your feet in and rubber banding your elbows in? Like, I see no difference there. I was like, they're going to break. But what made me laugh is somebody was like, you have zip ties. That is such a hazard and all this stuff. I was like, they're not zip tied. It's a rubber band. And I was like, obviously it broke because I was fist pumping in the alleyway. Like,
Yeah. At the NFR, someone's telling you what to do.
Yeah.
While you're competing at the NFR. Like, thank you.
And I used to let that stuff get to me. And then I finally, the same thing, like as you get older and you kind of learn to just brush it off. And, everybody's going to have their opinion. You could be doing everything by the books, 100% right, and be flawless. And somebody will still find something to be negative about. And that's, social media is amazing, but there's also, there's a lot of couch jockeys out there, and, God bless them.
Yeah. I like my run at the NFR with rubber bands better than your run not at the NFR with no rubber bands.
Exactly. Yeah. So. Yeah. I promise you, I made a lot more money in mine than everybody else did while they were sitting on their couch watching me make that money.
Yeah. You're welcome for the entertainment.
Yeah.
That was like, I remember I was listening to a deal not too long ago, and this sports reporter went to go see the late, great Kobe Bryant during a practice. And he watched this practice, and he was like, it was like the most basic, simple drills. And he goes, "Hey, Kobe, thanks for letting me watch you do these drills and everything." He's like, "But you're the best player in the world, and you're just doing these basic drills." And he just smiled, and it's like, I'm the best player in the world because I do the basic drills. So it's like the rubber bands just going back to the basics or what got you there.
Exactly.
And about it.
That's the thing is I knew that horse would do his job. It was something that I was doing that was causing him to react the way he was. And, I think sometimes in our sport, we're really quick to blame the ground, or we're really quick to blame, our draw position on the ground, or quick to blame the horse or headgear on the horse, or the horse is sore, or whatever it is. Barrel racers are really, really known for pointing fingers at anybody but themselves. And
I'm so glad that this is recorded right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I was like, all the barrel racers are going to come at me later and be like, "You said this," but it's true. You know, we are so quick to do that, and nobody looks at themselves. And that's what I had my helper. I think it was the morning of round 5. I said, Jana, I need you to film me from the alleyway as I approach the barrel, because there's something I'm doing that is causing this reaction from this horse. And so she filmed it, and he kind of did the same thing at practice. And I went back, and while I was waiting my turn in line, I watched the video, and I'm like, that's it. That's why that horse is locking me out like that. And, you know, I had never rubber banded my elbows to the swells like I did until till the NFR this year in Arlington. Like, that was a different position. So nothing like trying something new at the finals. But I mean, I had nothing to lose. I had won $0. You know, I wasn't winning a dang thing doing what I was. So I had to try something different. And the reason I decided to go rubber band my elbows to the swells of the saddle instead of to my belt loop was because I thought if I went to my belt loop, I still could lean with my body. You know, even if my elbow couldn't get there, maybe, you know, my brain would try to beat, you know, the horse there with my body. Versus if I went to the swells where the horse is at, he's staying up and he's staying square, you know. And I was like, that will keep my body with his and allow him to go in and be in position. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, it was a gamble either way, but it paid off big time for me. And of course, you know, we broke the internet. So, you know, it was pretty crazy. But yeah, I am, you know, these horses don't try to do things bad ever. You know, they're out there. They want to please you, especially a horse like Chongo. I mean, he wants to win. He loves his job. I think he really, really loves running barrels for me. And I wanted to do right by him. And I knew I was making him look bad. So I had to fix that.
This will be our last break. We'll finish our conversation with Emily Miller-Beisel when we return.
In Las Vegas, December can only mean one thing: the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. The NFR is the culmination for the top contestants in the world seeking to share the $10 million purse and the coveted gold buckle. For fans, Las Vegas transforms into the greatest Western party in the world with the NFR Experience, which features Cowboy Christmas, the Junior World Finals, non-stop entertainment, custom viewing parties, and so much more. Follow all the action at nfrexperience.com. Great moments, great champions, great memories. There's only one NFR. There is only one Vegas.
Hey y'all, it's Lainey Wilson, singer-songwriter in Nashville, and I'm here with NFR Extra.
Emily Miller-Beisel is here on NFR Extra.
We talk about money earnings and how this all plays out. Breakaway was a huge discussion also on social media this year. What are your thoughts on if there is to possibly become a female all-around champion with 2 events now?
I think that would be amazing. To be totally honest, I was not much of a barrel racer, like growing up through junior high school. I mean, I did fine in the barrels, but like that wasn't my strong suit. My claim to fame was always the all-around championship, and that's what I prided myself on. You know, I team roped, I goat tied, I ran poles, did the cutting, everything that you could do. Like I was entered in it. You know, and since then, I mean, once I got to college and stuff, and breakaway was so limited, I knew I had to really focus on barrel racing just because that was where the, you know, career opportunity was at that point in time. So I haven't even picked up a breakaway rope since 2014 in Guyman. It has been a long time for me. So I don't know that that's something that I could get back into at this point in time, but a lot of the girls, like Jimmy Smith is a prime example. You know, she's a little younger than I am. And she, when she graduated college, the breakaway opportunities were starting to grow. And so she kept up with it, and she's roping, and she's got several amazing barrel horses, you know, and she's an incredible roper. So I would be really excited to see some opportunity for those girls that are still pursuing both events. Cause that to me, that's amazing. And it's such an honor to be talented in both of those events, you know, especially at that level. And so I'm hopeful for those girls. It was great to see the NFR or, them. I know the breakaway wasn't during the actual performance with all the other events, but it was there, and that's a step in the right direction for them.
With kind of your background, with everything that you've done, all around cowgirl, driven, dedicated, hardworking, what is something that terrifies you?
No, that is a tough question. Especially in 2021. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I hope truly, in years to come that especially these younger generations coming up, that they get to experience all the amazing things that we've got to. I worry a little bit for our industry, just the Western way of life, sporting events. It's a lot. I mean, we've got to have a crowd really to justify any of this, and there's just a lot of the world is changing. And of course, like Austin and I have discussed, we're at that age, like I'm 28, he's 29, like you have kids and that kind of stuff, like how soon? And I don't know. I just pray that everybody can come together and be unified and we cheer each other on again and be happy for one another. It's just kind of, I guess, experiencing some of the stuff I've seen in the last year and a half or so is that is kind of scary to me. And I hope that we can snap out of this here pretty soon and get back to 2019 was an amazing year. I would go back to 2019 time and time again. It was so much fun. And I just, it's been a roller coaster since, but I tell you what, I've learned a lot too as a person from it. And I'm a lot more appreciative. I mean, while we're sitting here in San Antonio, this committee is just goodness. They're doing everything they can for contestants. And it's so great to see people really, really grateful for that and grateful that they're having the rodeo, not feeling entitled that they should have it for them, and there's been some really positive things to come out of it. But I hope we get to, the Western way of life and rodeo and that kind of stuff gets to continue. And I think it's good for the world.
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. There's been different not answers, just kind of responses to that question. And that's more of a kind of a human one that I think we're all looking at. So that's definitely a unique perspective. We love that you jumped on here this morning in cold Texas. And
hey, no, this worked great for me because my schedule is real free today.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and all the things happening now in the beginning and where it's going. So this was a real joy having you on NFR Extra.
No problem, guys. We'll see you.
Be safe. See you later on.
All right, Desperados, last call.
I haven't been this excited for 21 since I myself was 20 because all of this just...
It is last call. The only problem is we're sober.
Exactly. Let's do this. All right, friends, this is Steve Godert joining me right now, my good buddy, Andy Seiler. What's shaking, my man?
I'm very ashamed to say that there are a few rodeo towns I haven't been that I think a lot of rodeo fans would be disappointed in me for not having been there.
There's a lot of kick-ass rodeo towns that I have not been to that I would like to go to.
I think it's cool how some of these towns have something that they're known for, something that people seek out, and it's not just the historical aspect of it.
I also like the deal when people cater to a town. Mm-hmm. When they shut off a street and you can walk around and have a cocktail or go check out whatever. And it's kind of like, whatever, rodeo's in town. That's one of my favorite deals.
Yeah, that is really cool. Let's say, for instance, I have not been to Cheyenne. I've been to the town, been through the museum, but I have not been to the rodeo. Yeah. I have never been to Calgary. And Salinas is one that's also on my bucket list as well. I have not been to those three, and I feel somewhat ashamed to say that I do not have those crossed off my list.
One I've been to the town of, but never to the rodeo of is Pendleton.
Mm-hmm. That one too.
Pendleton,
I have not been to Pendleton.
You could still go to Pendleton's. You could go to Hamley's Saddle Shop, go to Hamley's Steakhouse, go to the Slick Fork Saloon. Pendleton in itself is like a cool little town. They've got some really marquee factors that still maintain the Western and the cowboy and the rodeo heritage. Never been to the rodeo though.
And then you go somewhere like Caldwell, Idaho, where you have Caldwell and Nampa that are only 10 miles apart, but they're both one of the top 20 rodeos in the PRCA, but they're so different. Nampa is indoors. They've got the Snake River Stampeders that are the only drill team to perform in the dark. But then you go to Caldwell, and it's one of the most electric crowds in the whole sport of rodeo. I mean, you just say boo, and these people go crazy.
Well, it's interesting, too. You look at St. Paul, Oregon, one of the 4th of July rodeos, large outdoor rodeos. And I think the town itself consists of like 400 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then during that week of the 4th of July, it bumps up to like 15,000.
Right.
It's absolutely insane. And I'm kind of a sucker for, they can have rodeos in places, but I like the Old West, you kind of touched on the history aspect of it, the nostalgia of the cowboy. And I think that that's why everybody loves to go to the rodeos, is to see, part of that nostalgic Wild West American cowboy icon figures. But when you go to like Dodge City,
yeah,
I went to Dodge City as a spectator. It's been 17 years ago now. And there's so many cattle in that country. There's so much history in that country that it's still, you drive through Dodge City, it's like, yep, there's at least cows around here for sure. So that sort of stuff, she's a little ripe. I'm going to hammer on this one all the time, but Belle Fourche, Black Hills Roundup, man, that whole town. Belle Fourche was a staple for railheads, for cattle coming all over, Midwest, West, Texas, the whole entire thing. So that sort of a deal where you have that much, you've got the Black Hills, right there, that type of a thing, when you can go and not only enjoy a rodeo, but there's so much history to the place. It still maintains it somewhat.
Well, and right after that is the Rooftop Rodeo in Estes Park, Colorado. If you've never been to the Rocky Mountain National Park, that and Yellowstone, to me, are two of the prettiest national parks in the United States of America. And those are two places, anytime somebody's like, hey, you want to go here? If I've got the time and I can afford it, absolutely. Those are two, just, if you don't believe in God, those are two places you can go to and realize that there's a higher power that carved all these figurines out of rocks in the United States. Those are two blessings for our country for sure.
We want to thank Emily Miller for visiting us on NFR Extra.
Want to experience more of NFR? Then visit nfrexperience.com. And we invite you to subscribe to NFR Extra on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you're listening right now. If you like what you've heard on NFR Extra, we would love it if you gave us a big 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe.
NFR Extra.
All dirt.
All rodeo.
All year.
Gotta make it out to Vegas, where the big boys roam, with the rovers and the racers and the bulls and the broncs, and the ladies in the skin-tight Wranglers and the cowboy hats.